This is Jamie Moyer's 25th MLB season. He just arrived in Colorado to pitch for the Rockies. It is the 80th time his family has moved during his career. His average fastball velocity is 77.8 miles per hour. In the 2023 Little League World Series, Fan Chen Jun from Taiwan was clocked at 82 miles per hour. His average fastball was faster than Jamie Moyer's, and he was 12 years old. Jamie Moyer is 49 years old, and he is about to face D. Gordon. He is 25 years younger. At the time, was literally half of Jamie Moyer's age. When Jamie Moyer made his MLB debut, D. Gordon wasn't even born yet. That was 26 years earlier in 1986 at Wrigley Field, a stadium that didn't even have lights installed at the time. Harry Carey, who was an announcer when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, was the commentator that day. Tom Seaver and Pete Rose were still in the league. Larry Bird was the MVP of the NBA, and D. Gordon's dad, who played 21 MLB seasons, hadn't even made his debut yet. Yes, D. Gordon's dad is younger than Jamie Moyer. Now, D. Gordon is about to face Jamie Moyer, who at the time was 49 years old. He is older than the first ever CD. He is older than light beer. He is older than ATM machines, and he is pitching his 693rd career game. Major League Baseball goes back to the 1870s. It is over 145 years old. There have been over 23,000 MLB players in history. At the time of this game, Jamie Moyer had pitched so long and was so old, he had faced over 8% of all major leaguers in history. Moyer misses the first two pitches off the plate. Then, on a 2-0 count, D. Gordon takes a 79-mile-per-hour fastball over the plate. D. Gordon played over 10 years, was thrown over 14,000 pitches, and this was the slowest fastball he saw in his entire MLB career. In 2022, the Nationals let D. Gordon pitch for 1 inning. He threw 1 fastball. It was 81 miles per hour. So D. Gordon, a position player, had more velocity on his fastball than Jamie Moyer. He also ran faster. Gordon's time to first was 3.75 in 2015, the 10th best in baseball. At 49, Moyer took 4.59 seconds to sprint to first. That makes him the slowest in the league amongst qualified runners, even slower than 270-pound Daniel Vogelbach. Knowing this, Gordon made up his mind that he was going to try to bunt for a hit. Moyer threw another fastball. Gordon fouls it off for strike 2. This fastball was 78 miles per hour, the new slowest pitch Gordon had ever seen. At this point in his career, Jamie Moyer's average fastball is an insane 16 miles per hour slower than the average fastball in MLB today. It's 6 miles per hour slower than the average changeup, 6 miles per hour slower than the average slider, 7 miles per hour slower than the average splitter, slower than the average curveball, and the only knuckleballer in MLB today, Matt Waldron, throws his knuckleball faster than Jamie Moyer could throw a fastball at 49. The average fastball in the Little League World Series in 2010 was around 74 miles per hour. That's only 4 miles per hour slower than Moyer's average. The Little League mound is also 14 feet closer to the plate than a Major League mound, so not only is Moyer's fastball going at a Little League speed, it's traveling further, taking even longer to get to the plate. For a Major League hitter used to 100 mile per hour pitches, Moyer's ball looks like it's in slow motion. And on a 2-2 count, Moyer throws one even slower, a 69 mile per hour curveball. Gordon puts on a weak swing just to foul it off. There's 2 strikes. The season prior, Gordon only struck out 11% of the time, making him one of the hardest hitters to strike out. So Moyer goes to his best pitch. D. Gordon thinks it's a fastball, swings, but it dives below the zone at the last second. He got this strikeout without throwing a single pitch faster than 79 miles per hour. In baseball, this is one of the most counterintuitive strikeouts possible. It's well established that the faster a pitch is, the harder it is to hit. Since 2008, against fastballs between 95 and 100 miles per hour, MLB hitters only hit 237. On fastballs 100 miles per hour or faster, they only hit 180, but against fastballs between 90 and 95 miles per hour, they hit 272 with a slugging percentage of 463, meaning when the average MLB player sees a fastball slower than 95 miles per hour, they roughly have the same numbers as Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski. But Moyer throws way slower than that. At this age, he can barely hit 80. Against fastballs 80 miles per hour or slower, MLB hitters bat .315 with a slugging percentage of .552, meaning the average MLB player, when facing a fastball as slow as Jamie Moyer's, have numbers better than Mickey Mantle. Yet somehow, at 47 years old, throwing 80 miles per hour, the Phillies not only let Jamie Moyer pitch, he had one of the most legendary games of his career.
And the first pitch from Jamie Moyer is on the outside corner, and we're underway.
He starts the game off with an 83 mile per hour fastball to Omar Infante. It's the slowest fastball Infante has seen all season, yet it's the fastest pitch Moyer will throw the entire game. This game in May is being called by Tom McCarthy. He's been with the Phillies for almost 10 years, yet is 6 years younger than Jamie Moyer. His partner, Gary Matthews, was teammates with Moyer as a rookie. That was 24 years ago. Today, Moyer gets Infante to ground out quickly on a fastball, then gets Prado to hit a lazy fly ball. Now, he has to face Chipper Jones, a future Hall of Famer and still one of the most dangerous hitters in the game. This season, he's making $14 million. That comes out to about $150,000 per game, which is more than twice the amount of money that Jamie Moyer made in his entire rookie season. Back then, the league minimum was $60,000. That was in 1986. It was 10 times less than the league minimum today. Chipper Jones, who's in his late 30s during this game, was in middle school, and Jamie Moyer wasn't throwing much harder than he is today. In high school, Moyer had a 22-3 record and once threw 3 no-hitters in a row. He was dominant. There was 40 rounds in the draft. The average fastball was below 90 in MLB at the time, and Moyer was only 18 with time to grow. Yet, he threw so slow, not a single team drafted him. Moyer went to college and eventually got into the league in 1986, where his fastball maxed out at only 85 miles per hour. Yet somehow, over 24 years later, he's still pitching, and against one of the best hitters in the league. He throws Jones 4 fastballs and gets him to pop out. Despite only going up to 83 miles per hour in the first inning, he threw his fastball for 9 out of his first 11 pitches, and no one can make solid contact. His opponent on this day is Derek Lowe. He is the oldest pitcher on the Braves staff, yet he is over a decade younger than Moyer. In fact, by the time Derek Lowe made his MLB debut, Moyer was already 34 and had been cut by 3 teams. By this point, Moyer should have already been retired. In his first 5 seasons, he ranked as the 3rd worst pitcher in baseball according to ERA, so the Rangers cut him from the team. The Cardinals picked him up and stuck him in the minors. He ended up making 7 starts for them, and his ERA got even worse. So the Cardinals cut him from the team. The Cubs picked him back up on a minor league contract, let him go to spring training, but when he didn't make the team, they cut him. Moyer's career looked so hopeless after cutting him, the Cubs offered him a job as a minor league pitching coach. Moyer said no. Instead, the Tigers signed him to be a, quote, mop-up guy. That's a pitcher who comes in solely during blowouts, so the team doesn't have to waste their good pitchers in games they already know they can't win. Except the Tigers didn't even think Moyer was good enough to do that. They signed him to be the mop-up guy for their AAA team. His salary was $12,000. At this point, the average length of a career for a pitcher was 5.6 seasons. Moyer had already pitched 6. The average age for a player was 28. Moyer was now 30. He had one of the worst ERAs, had pitched in only 7 MLB games in 3 years, and in other words, was completely washed up. even if he would have retired at this time like people thought he probably would, his career would still have been longer and more successful than the average MLB pitcher. He spent his entire 29-year-old season in the minors. Instead of calling up Moyer in September, the Tigers called up one of their best pitching prospects. He threw harder, was significantly younger, and had a bigger future. But 17 years later, this guy has been retired for over a decade, while Moyer is about to face Troy Glaus in the top of the second. He smacks a leadoff single, but Moyer knows what to do. He throws a slow fastball low in the zone, and it turns into a double play. The pitch after, he gets David Ross on the exact same pitch. He just retired 3 batters in 3 pitches. This entire half inning only took Jamie Moyer 1 minute and 23 seconds to complete. The next inning, he gets another soft ground out. He then throws a perfectly placed 83-mile-per-hour fastball in the inside corner. Nate McLouth has no option but to foul it off for strike 2. Moyer throws the exact same pitch, but even more inside. Even though it's only 83, McLouth can't hold up and gets embarrassed. He then does the exact same thing to Derek Lowe. He throws 2 perfectly placed fastballs right on the corner to Martin Prado. Down 0-2, he has to swing at anything close, chases this high pitch, and grounds out. Things are about to get harder. He's facing Chipper Jones, outmatched in every way. Moyer has to get creative, so he throws an 82-mile-per-hour fastball 2 inches from Chipper Jones's head, hoping this will make him uncomfortable. It does. He then gets him to fly out on an 80-mile-per-hour changeup. Then Troy Glaus, the only Brave to get a hit off Moyer, is up again. He throws a fastball 2 inches from his head again. This works perfectly, and Troy Glaus pops up a 79-mile-per-hour curve. He then gets Matt Diaz to pop up, then gets David Ross to pop up, then a 74-mile-per-hour curve gets Melky Cabrera to pop up. Moyer just got the last 5 batters he's faced to pop up. He's throwing so slow, and hitters are so off balance, they're in front of every single pitch and hitting them straight into the air. Yet still, while throwing this slow, he's somehow getting swing and miss. Nate McLouth strikes out again on this 79-mile-per-hour cut fastball, the slowest fastball he struck out on in his entire career. Brandon Hicks is way in front of this pitch and strikes out. Omar Infante is way in front of this pitch and strikes out. Martin Prado flies out, and Chipper Jones pops out again. Jamie Moyer has given up 1 hit, faced the minimum, thrown 7 shutout innings, and has retired 17 batters in a row without throwing a single pitch faster than 83 miles per hour. At 47 years old, he's about to attempt to become the oldest player in history to throw a complete game shutout. 17 years earlier, Moyer couldn't even win a game. He had just been cut by 3 teams in 3 seasons, spent 3 seasons in the minors, and had not won an MLB game in over 3 seasons. But the Orioles let him pitch in their minor league system. By May, he'd pitched well enough to get called up, but was failing miserably. Over his first 4 starts with the O's, he had an ERA well over 4. Based on what batters were hitting off him, it should have been a lot worse, and had just given up 7 runs and couldn't make it out of the 2nd inning when one of his friends sent him a pink garter belt. Inspired by the movie Bull Durham, Moyer was told wearing this lingerie under his uniform would make him pitch better, and the first start he wore it, he dominated. Moyer swears that as soon as he began wearing this lingerie under his jersey, his pitching transformed. He had the best year of his career up to that point and finally reestablished himself as an MLB pitcher while wearing it. He got traded after a few seasons, then had the highest winning percentage in the league. Then as a free agent went to the Mariners. At 33, his career wasn't even half over. At 36, he got Cy Young votes for the first time. At 38, he led the league with 20 wins. Then in 2003, he had the lowest ERA of his career, was an all-star for the first time in his career, and finished top 5 in Cy Young voting. Moyer just had a breakout season when he was 40 years old. From ages 23 to 32, a player's so-called prime, Moyer had a 4.51 ERA with a WAR of 11. From ages 33 to 40, a player's so-called decline, Moyer's ERA was almost a full run less, and he had more than double his WAR. Moyer was given an extension which he played out in Seattle. When he got there, the team was filled with stars. In 2001, they won more regular season games than any team in history, but now they sucked. Moyer was 42. He felt old, he was old, was tired of losing, and made up his mind. He was going to retire at the end of the season, ending a career that lasted 19 major league seasons. But then the Mariners traded him. Jamie Moyer all of a sudden was on a team about to make history. He was the oldest active MLB player, the oldest pitcher in Phillies history to record a win, the oldest pitcher in history to get a hit, and he was the second best starting pitcher on the best team in the league at 45 years old. He became the oldest player to start in the NLCS, started in the World Series, and won. He not only won his first World Series, he played a massive role in winning it, so the Phillies gave him a 2-year contract when he was 45 years old. At the time, it seemed like somewhat of just a thank you for helping them win a World Series. But here he is, 2 years later, at 47, attempting to become the oldest pitcher in history to throw a shutout. He immediately gets into trouble. After 7 innings, his fastball is only reaching 79, and Troy Gloss sends this one up the middle for a leadoff single. The announcers are confused on why nobody is warming up in the bullpen.
And there's nobody up in the bullpen with him in the 8th inning now. I don't think I've ever seen that. Well, you know, he's gassed, which is understandable.
Then Moyer places a perfect pitch on the corner and explodes Matt Diaz's bat. David Ross pops up, and on a 3-2 count with 2 outs, he gets Melky Cabrera to fly out. The entire stadium gets on their feet to applaud Moyer, who only needs 3 more outs for a complete game. But before that, he has to hit. He leads off the inning, and fans are giving him another standing ovation.
For Jamie Moyer.
Against Jesse Chavez, he takes strike 1 as the entire stadium is chanting his name. He swings through the second one. Now he's down 0-2, takes a ball, takes another ball, hits a foul, fouls off another, then takes another ball. Moyer has worked a full count. He then fouls off a pitch, fouls off another pitch, then fouls off his 5th pitch of the entire at-bat. The entire stadium is on their feet. Chavez is throwing 14 miles per hour faster than Moyer, and he can't get him out. Then, on the 11th pitch of the at-bat, Moyer is finally retired. He gets another standing ovation as he prepares to come out for the last inning. He gets Nate McLouth to pop out, gets Eric Hinsky to ground out, and gets Martin Prado to ground out to complete a complete game shutout. The oldest player in history to do this. It is his 673rd career game, and according to GameScore, he just pitched the best game of his career at 47 years old. The second best game of his career was 24 years earlier. In between these 2 games, there were 5 different presidents. The World Wide Web was invented, and the Earth's population grew by 3 billion people. The Phillies, who had arguably the best pitching staff of the 2010s, continued to rely on Moyer, consistently eating innings for the first-place Phillies in his 24th Major League season. But in July, he throws this pitch. Moyer just tore his UCL. This injury requires Tommy John. When you tear this, your elbow is in such bad shape, it takes 12 to 18 months to pitch again. But Moyer stays in the game. He still manages to get Randy Winn to ground out. He then has to face Albert Pujols, the best hitter in baseball, with a torn UCL. He smacks a single. Now he has to face all-star Matt Holliday. Moyer is losing velocity. He smacks a 78-mile-per-hour fastball for a single. He throws 2 pitches well out of the zone. He's behind in the count. His UCL is torn. Moyer is in big trouble and somehow still gets out of it. Moyer does not return to the game. He doesn't throw another pitch all season. He needs Tommy John surgery. At this point, only one pitcher in MLB history has gotten Tommy John surgery in their 40s and went on to pitch another MLB game. But that guy was 6 years younger than Jamie Moyer was. Moyer is 47, meaning if the surgery is perfect, it's successful, and he heals, he still won't pitch for another 2 seasons. And no team in their right mind would sign a pitcher who can't even throw 80 miles per hour coming off a career-threatening injury at 49 years old. Moyer decides he's going to try to come back anyway. He remains unemployed in 2011 and doesn't throw a pitch so he can rehab from surgery. When he's finally able to throw, he tries to throw a batting practice to his son's Little League team. He threw 50 pitches. 6 of them were hittable. He nailed 2 kids and quit. But he keeps trying and eventually gets his location down. He tries out for MLB scouts. His velocity is 77 miles per hour, but his location is flawless. The Colorado Rockies are a terrible team with young players. Because they play in high altitude, which makes the ball go significantly further, nobody wants to pitch for the Rockies. So they have very few options. They think Moyer might be able to mentor their young pitchers, so they figure they have nothing to lose by inviting him to spring training. If he's somehow good, he makes the team. If he sucks, they cut him and basically lose nothing. That spring, at 49, he dominated. Moyer won the job at 49 and is pitching in Coors Field, the hardest park to pitch in by far. It is 2012. Bryce Harper is in the league. He is 29 years younger than Jamie Moyer. Jamie Moyer's average fastball is being clocked at 77 miles per hour. Bryce Harper was clocked at 81 miles per hour when he was 13 years old. The average fastball in the Little League World Series in 2010 was around 73 miles per hour. In May, he faces the Diamondbacks. Their manager, Kirk Gibson, got 4 hits off of Moyer in 1 season. That was 24 years ago. He's going against Patrick Corbin. He's gone on to pitch in MLB for over a decade, has multiple All-Star appearances, a top 5 Cy Young finish, and a World Series. Yet Jamie Moyer has more wins in his 40s than Corbin has had in his entire career. Moyer is younger than 3 out of the 4 umpires. He's younger than one of the announcers. The other announcer is in his 50s and played with Moyer in the 1980s. He opens the game against A.J. Pollock. Today, he's been in the league for 12 seasons. This is the slowest fastball he'll see his entire career. It is 78 miles per hour. That is above average for Jamie Moyer. He ends up grounding out. Moyer gives up a hit, then faces MVP candidate Justin Upton. He's played 16 seasons in MLB. Moyer throws him the slowest fastball he's ever seen in MLB for strike 1. Then something even slower. It's fouled off for strike 3. Then throws him the new slowest fastball he's ever seen in his career and strikes Justin Upton out. He can't help but laugh. Moyer gets a pop-up to end the inning. Next up is Paul Goldschmidt. He'll go on to make 7 All-Star teams, win 5 Silver Sluggers, and an MVP. Moyer throws him the 2 slowest fastballs he'll ever see in his major league career. Both are strikes. Then he swings and misses at 72 to strike out. An error brings John McDonald to the plate. He's a shortstop, but the Diamondbacks let him pitch 1 time. His fastball was over 5 miles per hour faster than Moyer's is. He ends up swinging and missing so bad, he decides to bunt on the slow Moyer and gets a hit. Moyer's in trouble, but a pop-up and strikeout gets him out of it. After an error, walk, and steal, Moyer is in trouble again. However, a 78 mile per hour fastball causes a double play, and he gets out of another jam. The next inning, a leadoff double by Goldschmidt puts him in trouble again. It doesn't matter. He gets a ground out, a fly out, and another ground out to get out of it. On the other side of the field, his opponent, Patrick Corbin, who is 27 years younger than Moyer, is struggling. He's already given up 3 runs, and Jamie Moyer is coming to the plate with an opportunity to break the game open. He takes a strike, but battles back, and on a 2-2 count, hits this dribbler. Moyer, the slowest player in baseball, hustles, jukes Paul Goldschmidt out, and gets a hit. 2-run score, and Jamie Moyer just became the oldest MLB player in history to get an RBI. Then comes right back out, gets 3 quick groundouts, and ends the inning. The sheer slowness of Moyer's pitching is throwing everybody off. He faces the Diamondbacks cleanup hitter and throws his fastest pitch of the night at 79, then strikes him out on a 75 mile per hour curveball right down the middle. Paul Goldschmidt tries again. This curve is only 67 miles per hour. Moyer gets behind the count 2-0, but two very slow changeups get him back in the count, and on 2-2, he freezes him on a 71 mile per hour curve right down the middle. This is Moyer's 906th strikeout since he turned 40 almost a decade ago, meaning Moyer has more strikeouts after turning 40 than Dontrelle Willis, Jonathan Papelbon, and Mike Clevenger have had in their entire careers. Moyer comes in for one more inning, gives up an RBI single, and gets taken out after 6 1/3 innings with 5 strikeouts. Moyer just became the oldest player in history to record a win, breaking his own record. It's his 269th win. Nearly 40% of those wins came after he turned 40 years old. He had 3 times more wins in his 40s than he had in his 20s. He pitched twice as many innings, had twice as many strikeouts, and nearly 3 times more WAR in his 40s than he had in his 20s. He started 257 games after age 40. That's more starts than Steven Strasburg had his entire career. He had 8 complete games after he turned 40, and he gave up more home runs than anyone in Major League history. Moyer was released shortly after this win and still tried to make a comeback. He pitched for the Orioles and Blue Jays in the minors and even tried coming back as a knuckleballer at age 50, but it never materialized. And after an historic career, he finally retired at 50 years old.